Cryptid Consortium.
Formerly,
with that,
formerly,
formerly the Skookum Session Podcast
yeah.
Q&A. Yeah, we decided to Gary, Nick, and myself decided to start this new show. I think you guys will enjoy it. Nick, you want to tell them what it's all about?
Well, the Cryptid Consortium, as opposed to the Skookum Session, um, we had a question of the week. What we're going to do here with the Cryptid Consortium is bring to you another different cryptid every week. And we're going to try to give you a cryptid that is not so much out there like Dogman and Mothman and the Bigfoot and the like. We're going to give you something that you really haven't really heard of and give you some deep researched information about them. Just to tell you, today's cryptid is the Ozark Howler. And next week, I'm trying to convince the guys to do the Mongolian death worm. So as you can see, just from those two cryptid names, they're not really out there that much. And I think Gary's going to throw one up here. Here we go. The Ozark Howler. Yeah. And as you can see, it's a nasty thing. Research that I've done from newspaper reports. Now, mind you, I've went back into the mid to late 1800s on newspapers, and the Native Americans in Missouri, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Kansas area, eastern Kansas area, have all had the Ozark Howler in their lore, as they could call it. So, I mean, and it's been in newspapers even back into the 1800s and late 1800s. Most recently, it was seen 2015 in the Oklahoma area. Actually, Gary, that's your area, Oklahoma.
Absolutely.
So just to throw it at you once again, basically, the Ozark Howler has been seen Oklahoma, Missouri. We have Arkansas and eastern Kansas. And Jay, didn't you say southern Texas?
Yep.
North
Texas.
North Texas, okay.
Yeah.
And there was one other place.
Eastern Kansas, and then up into Missouri.
Right, eastern Kansas.
Yeah. Arkansas. Yeah. I don't know if you mentioned Arkansas.
I mean, it's kind of more famous for Arkansas, and that's where I was seeing most of the reports was Arkansas and eastern Oklahoma.
Now, a lot of pictures I found in the books that I have and on the internet don't show it like this. They show it like like more of a cat, like a mountain lion. And the reports that I've read said that this is one report anyway. It says that it's like a mountain lion, only 2.5 times bigger than a mountain lion, with horns on its head. So it sort of looks like a cat. Most of the reports that I've been able to research, guys, it says it more looks like a closer to a bear with horns on its head. And a couple of reports have said that when they measured it up against like a tree where they've seen it leaning against, and then the hunters went out to where the tree was, this thing came up to the guy's neck. And he said, and this fellow was over 6 feet tall. So he's figuring the back is about 5 feet high, very thick legs, very thick body. What else? I believe glowing eyes, and very fast too. So what did you guys get out of this?
Well, I got the earliest sighting, actually, according to what I pulled up, was actually by Daniel Boone.
Oh, yeah.
And supposedly he took a crack at it with his musket.
Did they say he killed one?
I didn't see that in there, Nick. Very well could have been killed. I don't know, but it said earliest sighting was Daniel Boone, and he took a shot at it.
I wouldn't put it past that guy. Wouldn't put it past him. I mean, he killed a grizzly with his Bowie knife.
Yeah.
He supposedly killed a Sasquatch and taken down one of these guys. Wouldn't put it past that guy. He was something else. Good old Daniel Boone.
Yeah. And recently there was a guy, and like you said earlier, Nick, most recent sighting was 2015, correct?
Yeah.
And according to this guy, I couldn't find the picture, but supposedly he took a picture of it. I couldn't find it anywhere, but supposedly he took a picture of it. And before that, the most recent sighting before that was in 2011 in Newton County, Arkansas. I don't know, Gary, you probably know where that was.
Yeah, I sure do.
Better than I, but
straight north of Salem. You're actually looking at the same information. That's funny because we all three gathered the same information.
Yeah. But yeah, sightings go back to the early, the Daniel Boone period. I mean, it's quite a long stretch.
Well, the written, how would we say the written sightings, because the First Nations people talk about they didn't call it the Ozark Howler, but they talk about something similar to it, ranging all the way into Kentucky and even into Virginia. As far back as tales can be told, the biggest thing that I would agree with all of y'all is the cat. I actually dug into some of my reports, and in between 2005 and 2010. And a family living north of Van Buren, Arkansas, which is just north of my research area, had a bunch of sightings and had some livestock pulled down, and they put out trail cameras, and they actually got pictures. And I couldn't get them to send me the pictures until we might have to post them later because they didn't get them to me fast enough. Right. But he said it looked like a big black mountain lion, but heavier. Right. So my first thoughts, and I wanted to bring it across you guys, is we've had jaguars. I don't know if y'all ever seen a jaguar. Jaguar will get black, and what we call black panthers. Yep. And they're jaguars are a lot stockier than a mountain lion, and they can, and they say jaguars can get up to 9 to 10 feet long, including their tail. So that would be, but that doesn't explain the horns.
The horns.
No. Right. But what does explain horns would be a freak of nature.
Correct. Of course.
In all honesty, there's freaks of nature throughout the whole world. I mean, look at in the Amazon, they were talking about this giant snake that was about, I think it's about 5.5 feet in circumference, 47 feet long, and they actually found it. They actually found one and they destroyed it too. They shoved a pig's carcass with dynamite and a timer. They put it in the water. This thing swallowed it and it blew it apart while in the middle, and then they put it together. So, I mean, that was found in the Amazon, and they said that was a small one. A small one? Seriously? It's about the circumference of a Volkswagen Beetle, and it's 47 feet long? No, I don't want to look at that. I'm not going there.
Yeah, you start talking a snake that big, and I'm just gonna have a heart attack thinking about it. I'm sorry.
You got to go. I'll give you the website. You can go and see this thing. I mean, the natives actually got it out of the water, and they got it on land, and it's like super round, Gary, and it's big.
Is that the one that they had wrapped up around like the backhoe bucket, and it was dragging the ground?
No. Okay. This is down in the Amazon. They don't have a backhoe bucket over there.
Yeah, true.
Nothing. Yeah. But talking about those people, I mean, it was seen between 2014 and 2015, and they brought the trail cam pictures to a television station, and the TV station actually put it on television.
Yes.
And people started to freak out. I was reading the newspaper reports, online. I was actually able to get them online. I'm really happy about that, because now I don't have to go to all the different libraries. Maybe I can snake into the different newspapers and go into their archives. They'll probably start charging,
because a lot of them have went from the microfiche and they've converted it over to digital, where you can do that.
But a lot of them, in order to go into their archives, they're going to charge for it, which is okay. I mean, if I really want the info that bad, I guess I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pay them for it. But some of the other stuff said it had gray, scraggly hair, sharp claws and fangs.
Yes.
And this thing, it goes out there and it makes a sound. It's a combination between a wolf howl and an elk's bugle sound.
Yep.
And that is, oh God, I mean, I can imagine being out there hearing this thing. It's like, wait a minute, I know the sound of Sasquatch and Dogman and owls and raccoons and the like. I've never heard this one before. And what they say is that the Ozark Howler hunts silently for a big, beefy, wide. I mean, this thing is like almost like a water buffalo, you know, to tell you the truth. And that's what I thought maybe it was. But according to all reports I've read, it's extremely fast and silent. You know, Gary, like a panther.
Or like a cat. Yeah.
It's going to sneak up on people. So maybe it has the ability of a cat, but it looks like a water buffalo or a bear.
Yeah.
With horns and fangs and claws. Throw up that one picture.
Okay, give me just a sec. We're working on a new system here.
Well, in the meantime, when you're getting that, it's said that it gives, when it is silently hunting, it gives 3 cries, 3 blasts out there. And if you haven't reached safety by the time that 3rd blast, it's got you. So the first 2, you're over there. Okay, I got to get someplace. None of the reports, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but none of the reports say if it could climb a tree. I mean, look at that nasty thing.
Couldn't find anything on that either.
Look at that nasty thing. Shaggy and nasty looking. And
you know, one of the main consistencies, I mean, I read a lot of different, I read some reports where they talked about it walked on 2 legs and 4 legs. But I'm thinking that's maybe more of misidentification to another cryptid. But the main consistency was of the 3 calls you was talking about. They even mentioned, matter of fact, a family in eastern Oklahoma said it sounded like a hyena.
I got that too.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit because we do know that there is some hyenas. Now, let me throw something else at you as soon as we get done there. It's always cat-like. Have y'all heard it's not a legend, it's true, about Bartlesville, Oklahoma?
What about them?
It is an old circus town.
It's escaped animals, huh?
You got Bartlesville in the northern side of Oklahoma, and then you have I'm pretty sure it's Hugo in southern Oklahoma, where I'm from. That was another circus town where they would, on the off season, they would all kind of hang out. And the reason they picked those areas is because it was pretty temperate for the animals, and it was also centrally located in the United States. I'm wondering if, and this is all the way back in the early 1800s. I'm wondering if that might have something, to do with it. But another thing too is, we do have black bears in the Ozarks, and that doesn't explain the sound, but a lot of they're talking about horns. I'm kind of wondering if maybe they might have mistaken if you look at this thing we're looking at here, outside of the horns, even the ears look kind of like a black bear.
They do.
The sharpness of the ears.
Yeah.
Looks like they really humanized the face on it, though.
Yeah. It's almost like a Wolfman type. But the one thing that was getting me about the consistency of all the reports is the cat-like and being the size, and of course always black, and the speed. Everything to me personally, it leans toward a cat. And I don't care how many times the game preserve and the game people say that they're not here. We do know there's mountain lions here, and we know that there's panthers here. And as a matter of fact, the mountain lion and the panther, or jaguar, however you want to put it, puma, which usually a puma they associate with the mountain lion or cougar, but they ranged all the way up into the Virginias, in earlier times.
Well, so even to today, Gary, I was telling on another show, when I went up to Moscow, Maine, we were looking up there for dogman tracks, and we came across cougar tracks. And the cougar tracks were about the size of my hand. All right. If I put my hand down and made a track, that was actually bigger than my hand. Bigger than my when I make a fist. And there was cougar scat, and that was proven because we had somebody from the Cryptozoology Museum up there, and she took samples of the scat and the paw print. And that was a cougar. So it's all the way up there in Maine. But something funny though that I tried to run this down as much as I could. The Arkansas wildlife officials claim that. And we already know this is, it's disputable, highly disputable. They claim that there's not been a breeding population of cougars left in Arkansas in close to 4 decades. So it doesn't matter, though. They can come up, from the Texas, Arizona area, New Mexico. you're not going to tell an animal you can't come here because you don't breed here anymore.
Right.
You might have one or two passing through. Like, I mean, who would think Maine? Come on, they got to pass you, Jay. They have to pass you to get up there, right?
Yeah, we've got them here, and you know, as much as the DEC would like to tell everyone that we don't have them here in the Adirondacks, you ask anyone up here that knows anything about wildlife here, they'll tell you we've got them here.
However, the reports, and I'm talking about dozens of reports because I was flipping through them left and right throughout all 4 of those states. All the reports that said, you know, not bear-like, but more cat-like, all of them said that it was looked to be 2.5 to 3 times as big as a mountain lion.
Yes.
I mean, that is huge, guys.
Yeah.
I've seen mountain lion in a zoo, and I've seen them down in Southwest United States in person with binoculars, by the way, with binoculars. And I guess this one I did see was a male because they look awfully big, you know, next to this boulder here. And it was like, my God, these things are gigantic. And the paws on them, my God. And these things here, the Ozark Howler, if it is a bearish type animal, who's to say it's not an extinct species?
Yeah,
you know, that might be, you know, crawling around out there, and because it's been seen. The Native American Indians have talked about them in the 1800s. Then again, in the 1900s, it's been seen on occasion, and then, well, most recently I have is 2015.
Same here, yeah.
2015 was the most recent.
Let me throw something else at you in doing the research. You know, playing the devil's advocate here. A lot of the folks in the Ozarks are kind of religious, superstitious, me being one of them. And a lot of them are from Scottish and Celtic descent. What is one of the most prominent animals in Scotland and the Celtic areas? That's long, dark, or gray, shaggy hair that has horns that makes all kinds of crazy noises.
Well, I'm thinking of from Ireland.
Yeah, even Ireland.
They have something that resembles
it's
the
not
Ozark Howler.
Yeah, but it's not. It is, and it's called the shit. I can't even pronounce it. It's the Susith.
That's why I didn't try to say the name. I can't pronounce it.
Cusith. And they're talking about from the Highlands of Scotland down into England, even into Ireland. But the thing for me, and this is where I'm getting at. So if we have Scottish descent, but everybody in Scotland raised sheep and rams and goats. Exactly, and they have that Scottish ram has ram horns and long shaggy hair. Yep. So if Scottish settlers brought these over with them, the natives and the people that was living here, when they seen this thing, it would blow their mind because they've never seen one as far back as the 1800s. And if y'all have ever heard some of the noises billy goats and stuff, you know, make, and that would also a ram in what we would call where a female goes into estrus, a ram will go into, he'll get into that rut, I guess would be the best way of putting it. They get very aggressive. They'll chase you. I've had one knock me completely over. I sometimes wonder if maybe there's some of this might be a little bit of, how would we say, misidentification. And then we have the factor of dogmen. We all know that there's dogmen all over that area. And on all fours, except for the horns, a dogman would resemble it. When you're talking the size, 6-7 foot at the shoulders. Yeah. That to me.
You know what I'm thinking also is interbreeding.
Yes.
Between a ram and I don't know, let's throw an animal out there that it could breed with. I don't know.
Well, it'd have to be a sheep or a goat, or something of that
something
sort.
big.
A sheep.
I don't know.
But have y'all, me hunting up in the northwest, cow.
Yeah.
Well, there's another factor there too. Different breeds of cows.
Yeah.
What is that? It's from Scotland also, or
yak. The Scottish yak.
Yeah,
the Highland yak.
You're talking the long gray hair with the.
Yep.
There's a lot of it there, so I think we're dealing, as if we do with all cryptids, a lot of different factors. Now, the biggest thing that got me, and I don't know why, but there's a little bit, we were surprised at how much information we found, but there's not near as much information on this as you have on in people's opinions as you would on Dogman, Sasquatch.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people out there researching it.
Yeah, I'm wondering why, because if we're doing the same research, and that's where I'm coming in, being in the Ozarks, that's most of my research area. I've been over there 25, 30 years, and I've never come across anything like this. Now, tracks, like you was talking tracks, I've come across cat tracks that big.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of factors there. I think.
Yeah. So remember, people, when we're talking the Ozark Mountains and stuff, we're talking about Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Eastern Kansas. And like I said, you're right, Gary. They did bring over ram. They did bring over different types of goats and stuff. I'm thinking it could be interbreed between a ram and possibly a small female cow. And it happens when you interbreed things like that. If they do catch, the thing is bigger, bigger than normal.
Yeah.
It could also be a misshapen bear, because you have like I always say, you have oddities in all kinds of life. You've got 8-foot tall human beings. You've got double and triple headed snakes. You have Siamese twins out there. You've got the liger, the lion and the tiger. You've got the growler bear, which is like a Kodiak bear with a polar bear. That's a growler bear. I mean, you've got so many odd things out there that anything can happen. I mean, look at this thing. My God.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, that's an artist's rendition, but a lot of people have reported the glowing red eyes. And then those horns are really shaped nice, but usually they're out to the side in most of the pictures I've come up on. But can you imagine something like this, 5 feet tall at the back, and it's running at you with speed, and it's like,
Well, let me throw something else at you too. Even up north, they have something up in that's similar, but it's got more spines on it, but it does predominantly go on all fours, has big carnivore's teeth and horns. How do you say it? The hodag? If you look at a lot of the reports of it, except for the spines running down the back, it has a lot of the same characteristics. So I'm wondering if this might be just different. If maybe it even stretches up into there, and they're just saying that it might be the same type of animal, and they're just calling it something else, because it says here American folklore is a hodag of a fearsome creature resembling a large bull-horned carnivore with a row of thick curved spines down his back. So outside of the spines, I mean, there's a lot of even the illustrations of the hodag. If you took one of these and put a row of spines down their back. Now, here's another factor in the Ozarks that I wanted to get at too. Outside of the horns, big hogs.
I was going to say wild boar.
Yes.
Now, I did have a chance to look it up. I know they can go pretty heavy and pretty big, but Gary, any idea, or you, Jay, any idea how big the biggest wild boar has ever been?
Well, here's
1,000 plus, right, Gary?
Well, that's what I was just fixing to say. I hunt hogs all my life, as y'all know. I have a standard wild boar in the Ozarks, 250, 300 pounds is humongous. But when we have all these imports coming in, where you're talking about, Nick, where we bring in hamp pigs or a lot of these Eastern European, Russian black boar, they brought those in, and they have crossbred with so the size of I've got into a lot of discussions with a lot of hog hunters. Oh, there ain't no hogs around here going over 350. I've got pictures of one that we shot ourselves that weighed 800, but what he was a hybrid, like what Nick was talking about, where the wild boar bred with a normal Russian or even a domestic. I shot one last year that was red and white like a doo-rock, and he was every bit of this tall at 4 foot and weighed 500 pounds. The speed. And that's another thing too that Nick mentioned that really gets me about, if you hear it the third time and it's coming at you, hogs, when they start to attack you, they do that high-pitched squeal all the time. You ought to see videos. Just see a video of hogs going after and with the whole horns thing, I hate to say it, but a big male boar,
they've got tusks, right?
That would come up and curl.
Yeah, they come up to there.
Yeah. And that explains the hair and the color.
I mean, so what's to say that this isn't a wild boar, that's a hybrid? Because the tusks, it all makes sense, and they're fast, and they do make a really odd sound. And yeah, maybe it is an oddity, and it is a 800-900 pound wild boar, and it's impregnated other boars out there, and they've seen them a couple of families worth from time to time over the ages. I mean, I think that's about the best one, because don't you right now have a wild boar, a hog problem over there in Oklahoma?
Very, very.
I mean, they're going shopping down in down the city streets, going to Chicken Licken Delight and Starbucks and shit, I understand, in Oklahoma. I mean, they're all over the place. My God, I mean, that's a problem over there, isn't it? Like, geez.
It's an extreme problem. Let me...
I'm surprised bacon isn't like 99 cents a pound, because, kill enough of them suckers, you just string it right out there.
Now you tell me that couldn't come across as a...
Yeah. Look at the tusks. Look at the tusks on that one.
For sure.
One on the right. And look how big that is. That is huge.
Just massive.
Hogzilla, they call it.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Hey, you guys ever see on the internet, there's a pit bull called the Hulk?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he is ginormous. Okay. Huge. So why can't one of these things be 4 or 5 feet tall at the back, and big tusks and all that stuff? Who's to say? I'm betting my money on a hybrid wild boar.
Yeah, when you look at the, stuff I found, one of the websites I went to, they categorize all these cryptids. You have your Bigfoot, different subtypes of Bigfoot, different subtypes of Dogman throughout the world. And that's what that's what one of the sites I went to is categorizing the Howler as some sort of hybrid. Of what? They didn't get into that, or they don't know, whatever, but they did categorize it as some sort of hybrid.
That is something.
Now,
something.
Getting back to Gary, you said what's it called, the Hodak?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if these things are similar or related, that I can see that being a possibility. Look at the you have your different subtypes of I hate to keep reverting back to Bigfoot, but it's the first thing that pops in my mind. Look how many subtypes of Sasquatch are out there. Could the Hodak and the Howler, could they be part of the same family but a different subspecies?
The thing that gets me, my first thought, of course, y'all know I'm a naturalist, but the area of Wisconsin where they're talking about the Hodag is very similar to the Ozarks. Low-ranged mountains, lots of water, lots of underbrush, lots of hardwoods. So I'm naturally thinking, why wouldn't there be something like that up there? Lots of water around. And I really do. I think that they're probably, and Nick, me and you've talked about that more than once, and Jeremiah both, that a lot of the time, I think all these different names and stuff is from sociological backgrounds. We all might be talking about the same thing.
Agreed.
We're just our sociological and our, how would we say, our training and upbringing is how we interpret these things. They might be the same thing, but our religious background and our sociological background is going to give us the impression of what we're seeing. The spines, on the Hodag with the spines on the back. My first thought is an old razorback pig.
Razorback,
they'll get that crest. And here's another thing too. Arkansas is known for what? What's their football team's name?
Arkansas Razorbacks.
Razorbacks.
Absolutely. Right? So, and I'm telling you, if you've got a hog coming at you, I've had it happen many a times. I've got coming at you at 30 mile an hour, squealing at you. That thing gets awful big, awful fast when you're telling the story. But, and a lot of that too, though, and this is a big thing that I wanted to bring up about a lot of these And I'm not knocking it because I'm one of them. I'm proud to be I call myself an Okie or an Ozarkie. All of my family is from the Ozarks.
Yeah.
I mean, we can trace our history back to the early 1800s in the Ozarks. But a lot of it is a culture thing. You know, it's the education is not as, you know, I didn't even have electricity until I was 13. We didn't have television until I was like 14. We didn't have we had party line phone. You pick up the phone and you'd be talking to all your neighborhood until like 89 or 90. So that has to take a big role in the stories now when we get reports like we've read in the 2015 and stuff like that. Now that's a different story for the simple fact that the information age is here. But if you go into them earlier reports, all the way back in the 1800s, I think a lot of that is culturally induced and education or lack thereof of folklore, I guess would be the best way of putting it.
Right.
We got any other pictures we didn't put up?
I think one more. And it's kind of creepy. It's gonna give me nightmares. No, I'm messing with it. Let me pull it up.
No, that quick. Giant anaconda is going to give you nightmares.
You ain't joking, it will.
Yeah, for sure.
But once again, with these, I have to lean towards the natural thing. The way they're describing the horns and stuff. I'm leaning towards a actual ram or like an Angorn goat or something. They got long, shaggy hair, and they'll get up 5, 6 feet tall.
Now that picture especially.
Yeah, this artist rendition of what was told to him. I think there's a bigger picture of this though, guys, and I just was unable to get it. I'm gonna have to send a request to the people. But the artist rendition of this also shows the legs, and they're very stout, thick legs, and they've got claws, big claws. And Gary,
that's interesting.
This looks like the ram, but the fangs on this thing.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
I was unable to copy it, so I couldn't send that to you, Jay. But it wouldn't copy. Only this would copy. For some odd reason, they had it blocked.
Now, when was this report?
Oh, this report was back in the 1990s. Like I said, it's an artist rendition.
Yeah.
It does look like ram horns. However, it does have the fangs
and the thicker legs and the
thick legs and the claws. Yeah, and it's shaggy. It's got the eyes. I mean, everything that's been reported. Now, over the years, from the 1800s all the way through, and like I said, the last one I have here is 2016. Was the last time something was seen, and that was in Arkansas. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to think about, and I'm leaning towards the hybrid.
Yeah.
Now that just maybe because it was a hybrid, the tusks went up, maybe it went through the shaggy hair and everything, and it's just a fearsome looking creature.
Look at the bottom jaw, guys. I mean, we were just talking about the hogs too. I mean, what's that remind you of? That bottom jaw with the tusks?
Well, let me throw. I have to once again be the devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
And being from that area and knowing the folklore and the spiritualism of that area, here's another factor we're not factoring in. This area is known for physical manifestations of demons.
Oh yeah, that looks like a demon too.
You go farther east into Kentucky and the Ohio Valley River area, and you really get a lot of it. You get the goat man, you get some of this stuff. You get the Ridge Runner was like a big bear and with horns and stuff, Sasquatch and stuff. So I'm wondering if a lot of this, and especially in eastern Oklahoma and stuff like that, if it couldn't be, and because that's a whole nother thing too. I know we're going to be concentrating on the cryptid sides of things, but with you both being in the paranormal, that's another factor that we have to factor in. Could this be a physical manifestation of a demonic, something of another dimension or another plane came through? We just did a show not long ago, Nick. You brought up a lot of points of the what do you call them? The I always call them a warp, but a
portal.
What if this thing came out of a portal? And that's the reason we're not getting that many reports of it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Sasquatch might be on a different level along with Dogman, brain wise. these things just seem to be killing machines from all the reports
Yeah.
I got. I mean, it's one of the reports. One of the reports I took, and yeah, this is going back into the late 1800s, is that it killed a cow, a bull, and a goat on this one man's farm.
Take down a full-grown
A
bull.
bull. I mean, it's going to kill a bull.
Well, and in saying that too, no natural animal would take out all three items. The natural animals don't do that. They either kill territorially, or they kill aggressionately because they've been wounded, or they kill to eat. I don't see them ripping up.
Right.
That's unnatural.
Well, according to that report, it didn't all happen in the same day.
Oh, okay.
It was over the course of 5 weeks.
Okay, so it could have been a feeding.
And they got upset because that was their livelihood.
Absolutely.
Their livestock, and they got upset. The guy went, he hired guns, and they stayed up day and night. And according to the report, wasn't complete though, but according to the ending of the report, they had a few sightings. They did shoot at it. They say they hit it. Maybe it went off to easier pickings because it didn't come back. And they set up double fences and everything, to safeguard their livestock. But I mean, to go after a bull, I mean, a bull's not just going to sit there and let you bite it.
Slouch. That's crazy. That over a period of 5 weeks, I could see where it would be eating. If it was all in one setting, it'd be a whole different. Right. But another thing too, if you look back throughout history, and what kind of brought that thought to me was the Celtic, the ancient peoples of the Celtic, bringing that storyline over. But if you kind of look at the old hellhound, not Cerberus, not the three-headed, but if you get some of the pictures of the old Sumerian hellhounds, they had horns. And kind of coming in, and some of the things I was looking at, some of the reports, and here in a minute I'll tell you about. I actually took a personal report from a cousin of mine a few years back about one of these in Falk area, which is Arkansas, southwestern Arkansas. But he said he's seen this, and then 3 days later his mother passed away. And in some of that old hellhound kind of storyline, you hear of it being kind of like the Mothman of pre-warning of something bad happening. And even like truck drivers, a lot of people, everybody's heard the movie the Black Dog.
Black Dogs.
Well, that story actually has the big part of that story. I know it goes from all over the United States of truck drivers, but the most of them I've heard is I-40 running across Kentucky to Oklahoma.
Oh, that's infamous.
Yeah,
that's infamous. I-40. Yeah. There's also something I came across with the Black Dog. There's also the White Dog, but that's down in Mexico. In Mexico, they got the Black Dog and the White Dog, and the White Dog actually fights the Black Dog when it can find it, to protect people from it. But the Black Dog is a big deal. I was just looking at the notes here from that one where it attacked within 5 weeks. That bull, the neck was hanging by a thread. It ripped the stomach area open, and everything was gone. The same with the cow, but the goat that it went after, the goat's head was gone, and most of the body was eaten. Just the lower half was left. Gary, if you have that other picture, throw that one up there. Not the fuzzy, shaggy one, or the one with the whitish background. There was another one over there, and not the one with the eyes where you can barely see it, but the fourth one.
Okay, let me see if I can.
The
one with the white background?
No, it's next to it.
The one with the horns that came straight up, or the black?
No, not the circular horns.
Okay, I've only got 4.
Yeah, I know. Not the shaggy one, not the circular horns.
This one,
and not the white.
Well, then
just throw one up there. We'll tell you.
Well, you brought up, Gary, about the Black Dog. Nick, that's what in my notes here I found that a lot of people think they speculate that this might be and Gary mentioned manifestation of something. This may be a branch off of the Black Dog.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking of something else.
We got one more.
Yeah, go to the Shaggy one.
Yeah, that's on the 4 we got.
Yeah, I was thinking of another one. I wish I had that one too. I couldn't copy it either.
Well, folks, y'all got to understand this was just kind of a thrown at us this last week. As time goes, I'm sure we'll have a lot more time to do research and get things going once we get into the swing of things.
Yeah, but like I said, the Cryptid Consortium, we're going to bring a different cryptid each week. We'll discuss it, and we'll give you a final conclusion, or at least our conclusion. I'll give you mine right off the bat. I'm going to say it's a hybrid wild boar. So and Gary gave all the information. The Russian boar combined with our wild boar here. Generally, when you combine two, like the liger is like 3 times bigger than a normal lion
or tiger,
or tiger. I mean, they're really huge. They're like 5.5 feet at the back. I mean, you can see them on the internet anytime you want. They have this guy on YouTube walking with a liger next to him, and you'll see it's up to his neck.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is huge, but I guess he's been playing with it since it's been a baby cub, and it treats him like a brother. But my thing, I'm going to take a vote now for everybody to say what they have to say, but my vote goes for it being a wild boar combined hybrid with a Russian one. And that's what my bidding is for.
Yeah, I got to go with hybrid as well. You know, of what I'm not quite sure, but I'm kind of leaning towards what you're saying, Nick. You know, boar, the cross between 2 different types of boar.
Yeah, it just because of the tusks. Bear don't grow tusks, and I don't know. I can't see a bear mating with anything in particular to create something else. Bears with bears, yeah, but nothing with antlers or tusks or anything. Yeah. Right. What's your take, Gary?
Well, I think in the earlier reports in the 1800s, I think a lot of it could be a combination of wild boar and ram that's not predominant to that area. You know, like a Yule ram or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think now as people learn more and have the internet and stuff, I'm thinking and I'm sorry, I meant to talk to you guys before the show, before I started this, but I'm just going to put this out there. I think that anymore, now that we have informational age, I'm thinking it's either fabrication or misidentification to a big cat or maybe a boar. I think that now that we have and I think that's another reason we're having, well, just like the report we took in 2015, you know, where they took the pictures to Fort Smith and it turned out to be a cougar. You know, we all know, Nick, now me and you are kind of a little different because of our training, and Jeremiah, with your background, same thing too. But when something's charging out of the woods at you, or you see something, it has a tendency to get blown out of proportion because of your fear and and I'm just saying this, folks, and I might offend a lot of people, but I apologize ahead of time. But I truly believe that a lot of it in current time is going to turn out to be a big cat or a boar. I think the boar is the most common thing because of the size. I have personally seen, big Russian boars mixed with like a hamp hog, and I've seen their shoulders get. I'm sitting in a chair my desk is 30 inches. I've seen them 40 to 48 inches easy and long, and that noise. And when it's coming at you at 30 mile an hour, and I know you can ask, I've got scars on my body from hog hunting. I've got videos of me pulling them down with dogs. But my whole point is if it starts getting more of the horns coming out of its head, and we've already multiple times in other cryptid deals explained the red glowing eyes. Well, if you see this thing at night, you're going to see it with a light. Well, any animal, I've got pictures of my dog when the light hits him, his eyes glow red. Right. So that would explain that. Yeah. But my whole concession is hog, and then even in the past would be lack of. How would we say intellectual? I'm not going to say intelligent because I'm not going to say anybody in the past is not as intelligent as we are, but lack of intellectual knowledge. It might have been a boar. It could be a wild pig. It could be, a boar ram or something. But if in today's day and age, with the information we have, if they're saying it's got curved horns and fangs, one of two things: fabrication or a physical manifestation of a demon.
Right.
But just like you said before, Quantum physicists have said that 11 different dimensions. That's proven.
Absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
And like we mentioned, you said, Gary, a portal. You never know. One may have made its way, or a couple dozen may have made its way through a portal. We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. I mean, we're actually closer today, believe it or not. I mean, I've been reading scientific journals about that, closer to finding real portals.
Yes.
Of course, I don't know who is going to volunteer to go through that portal. I know I'm not going to be first in line. I'm telling you that right now. Maybe Gary will do it, but
nope. Too many chances of a dog man being on the other side. Ain't happening.
Imagine that. You pop through the portal, you go, wow, check this place out. And 50 dog men are over there looking at you saying, what are you doing?
Or worse, you remember the final scene of one of the underworlds where all the dog men are coming across that plane?
Yeah.
Like 500 of them. Yeah. You step through a portal and it's like, hey guys, and all these things coming at you, and the portal closes behind you. It ain't happening. Not for me. But you got a real good point, Nick. I'm not going to knock anybody's story or their belief, because I didn't believe in dogmen until a year ago. I didn't believe in Bigfoot until I seen mine in 2016, and I believe it. I'm still questioning what it is.
Right?
Yeah, there's 18 so many inches away from your car, your truck window. That's not the. You got to have some PTSD from that.
That's too close folks, for comfort,
I will say this: we was talking about the reports in Van Buren, Arkansas. My sighting's not very far from there. That's my area. I'm not going to knock any of it. I want to see that evidence. I want to hear your stories, and I'm Nick. I'm going to tell on you, and I hope I don't offend anybody or you. But Nick told me one time, he said, I have a tendency to believe the more mundane sightings than I do all this. I talk to them in my mind and stuff. I'm not going to knock that, but I have a more tendency to believe I just seen something, or you seen a fleeting glimpse of something. To me, and now that's all Nick said. Now I'm going to add to that by saying, to me, that makes a lot more sense. I'm having a hard time with mind speak, and y'all know I believe in that, but I just think a lot of that is
sure.
Well,
how would you say?
Jay right over there got hit by it. He got hit by something from a Sasquatch. He had to.
Yeah.
Knocked him out.
Knocked the equilibrium off. Put me on my knees.
I wouldn't call that mind speak. I'd call
that was the infrasound.
But yeah.
But
some of the pictures and stuff you've sent us, and some of the stuff that's happened to you up there, I'm a 100% believer you've got a portal or something going on there. You got something good, and knowing your wife, my sister, as well as I do, you've got more spiritual stuff going on too. And see, that's a whole nother factor. Here we're talking about cryptids. This could be a 100% spiritual being, like Nick is saying, coming across, and that would explain why we're only getting fleeting, instances of it.
Well, what I was saying about Jado, he was hit with infrasound. Also, I think you had mind speak one time because you had a rifle, and that Squatch said, no, don't do that. Yeah. But I mean, when he got hit with infrasound, was it twice?
Yeah. Right. So one time was the real the first time was a lot worse. I mean, that's the time I got sent to my knees. My equilibrium got all messed up. Vomiting.
That's some rough stuff, man. I'm telling you.
It was brutal.
Oh,
just brutal.
You're like, I know 10 people total, and you're the one that got hit twice. Everybody else I know got hit once.
Yep.
And I know one guy he went to his knees and then went right down to his face.
Yep.
Couldn't get up for over 40 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, they were worried about him, and they found him, turned him over, checked his breathing. His breathing was fine, but he was out of it, man. I mean, he was totally out of it. They were really concerned about him. They thought he got a concussion from hitting the ground, but he told the story later on that he saw a Squatch and he was thinking of lifting his rifle, and this thing hit him. Yeah. No mind speak, infrasound, bam, hit him. He went down to his knees. His rifle went forward. That's what he was thinking. He was like, oh my God, my beautiful rifle. I just scratched it. And then the next thing he knows, they're turning him over. He went down to his face from his knees. he didn't get a concussion because he went to his knees. He didn't just fall boom flat.
Right.
So, I mean that.
Well, you're bringing up a real good point, Nick. That's, y'all know I'm doing a study on infrasound right now.
Right.
That is something that's very feasible. We have scientific proof that giraffes do it, elephants do it, tigers do it, lions do it. Yep. Here's another one for you: crocodile and alligator.
Really?
Have you ever seen the water when an alligator goes into his breeding, a male goes into his breeding stance, and the water starts rippling, and he's doing that low pitched walk? Yeah. They have picked that up at over 2 miles away.
Oh wow!
So we know infrasound.
They make quite a roar. I'm gonna tell you, I was at the National Zoo in Washington D.C. Got a bit close to the tiger cage, and it let it out. It hit me. I mean, I wasn't afraid because the bars were 2 inches thick. You know, it wasn't coming out of those bars. Right. But it hit me. It went right through my chest and right out the other end. And ladies were screaming and everything, and people were on and oohing.
Absolutely.
Well, we got too close to the cage. Let's put it that way. And this was a big boy. This is about a 500-pounder. He was a big boy.
Well, and what you were saying, Nick, about Jeremiah and the other guy, our equilibrium is fluid sacs in our ears.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when those sound, I know from being a musician and being in big concerts being a bass player. So I'm in front of that lower frequency, not as low as infrasound, but down to 30 hertz. You know, a human can hear down, I think, to 12 or 13 hertz. But I have literally been rumbled so hard, and even being around artillery and the stuff in the military, it will mess with if that. It's almost like getting hit in the head. If you move that fluid in your cavities, it really messes with your balance and everything else. Sure. And we have legitimate. I've got a stack of papers that I printed out. I can send to people on infrasound that they're doing studies in the U.S. government and stuff that it affects everything. It can even make you lose your control of your bladder. It can all kinds of crazy stuff happening. So they're trying to develop it for weapons.
Speaking of sound for weapons, Gary, I don't know if you crazy rangers ever got to shoot am I pronouncing it right? A Carl Gustav shoulder, 4 feet long tube. Carl Gustav.
Was that the German, the anti-tank?
Yeah. Bunker buster too.
Yeah.
That thing, it will make your ears bleed.
Yes.
And you have to clear 25 feet behind you.
Absolutely.
Minimum. They want 50.
Yeah.
But once you're firing that thing, even with earplugs don't help.
It's the pressure, the sonic pressure.
You need to cover back here.
Yeah.
You know, but they gave us earplugs, and I got to fire 3 times, and I'm going to tell you, I wasn't the same for a week.
Yeah.
Wow. Neither was anybody near me.
Nope.
The sonic projectile, pressure. I mean, it's just, you know, I'm glad they went to the law rocket, but firing these things is.
Well, I'll tell you my one only true documented experience with infrasound. I was doing some underwater welding for the oil field off the coast of out in the Gulf.
Oh no, Mexico. Not a whale.
No, they was doing subsonic testing and exploding stuff like 5 miles away and it literally knocked me cold out.
Oh,
and they had tethers to me and stuff and was able to pull me up. But that's another thing too. We know whales do this also, especially a sperm whale. But it's funny you mentioned that, Nick. It's so funny how we always tie things in. This bone in the back of the ear is directly tied. I've got a set of headphones that doesn't even focus on my ear. They come and they press in on this bone right here, and the vibration I can hear as well. Right. That way you can actually hear and still feel the music. I can't think of the name of that bone.
Something like that. But that's the reason why when I'm out in the woods.
Absolutely.
I use these, the walkers.
I've just bought me the same pair.
Turn them on, your ear, suddenly you can almost hear like your dog. 25 times your normal hearing, and you can hear shit. But, you know, let me tell you something. There's nothing out there that has ever really scared me. But one time I was afraid. I was with 6 other guys. We were on a boat off the Jersey shore. We're about 3 miles out. And we were scuba diving in pairs. We had 2 guys stay in the boat. 4 of us went in. You need top men. You need to have somebody on the top. 2 and 2. We're underneath the water about 65 feet. I've never been scared in my life. I don't care if there's shark or whale or whatever. You know, you're training and everything, and you get used to these things I've been scuba diving since I've been 16. So it's like, you know, a second nature. So my partner and I, we feel this vibration, and it's going through us, and it's coming up closer and closer. And I'm like, what the heck? We went up, and what do we see in the distance? A real oil tanker, not the baby ones that are huge, not the baby ones that take the oil from the regular oil tankers. This had 6 screws on it. 6 screws.
Yep.
The screws are 15 feet by 15 feet.
Yep.
Right? You get sucked in the wake, and you're going to be chum on the other side.
Absolutely.
We went up, we pulled our mask down, you know, around our necks, and we're looking. What the heck could that be? It was an oil tanker, and it was headed our way. And I would say it was about, God, a half a mile away. You never seen a bunch of guys swim so fast. We got to the boat, we clambered on. I told them, head towards the shore. You know, we hit up them 500 horsepower engines. Bam, we headed towards the shore. This thing was headed our way, and then it leveled off with the shore, and then the smaller tankers would come out later to pick up oil from it. Guys, I'm going to tell you something. That was one time,
but
I got chills, and that was
key point.
That's infrasound. That's
just
man-made infrasound.
Absolutely, the resonance. That's what I tell people. If we have animals that's done this, people just can't factor in. It drives me nuts when people knock infrasound from a Sasquatch. I'm like, have you ever seen a Sasquatch? They're like, yeah or no. I'm like, do you understand that what I seen at 22 inches had shoulders twice the width of mine? And folks, I'm 6 foot tall, 300 pounds. Yeah. I'm a big boy. And this thing literally could see its shoulder out the windshield and see the other shoulder out the back glass of a single. You telling me that this thing can't give infrasound with that amount of lung capacity? It'd be like a bull. You know, if you've ever been on a ranch and bulls do that old long deep beller that they do, you know, that's when I got my audio, that's what I thought it was a bull, because it's an infrasound. You stand next to them and it just vibrates. I don't understand where people, I've literally had my dog next to me and growl and it rattled me, you know, and he's only 60 something pounds, you know. Just think of your big Rottweilers.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a Rottweiler bull mastiff mix, and I tell you what, when he lets it go, man, you can almost.
What are you, Nick?
I'm measuring my shoulders. I don't know if this is correct.
I'd say 30, 34, 35.
I don't know if this is 18 inches, but it's about 34.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't imagine 5 feet shoulder width, you know, from left to right. And from front to back, it's probably about, oh my God.
That's what I'm saying. I was in such a unique situation. We was able to measure the window because I knew how far past the window, and that we measured from the front of the cab to the back of the cab was 39 inches. And then he was another at least 12 on one side and 14 on the other. So you're talking huge. And they want to tell me that these things can't do infrasound. And then they want to tell me that these things can't run 45 and 50 mile an hour. Their average stride is 6 foot on a walk.
And you expand the strength in their bodies.
Yes.
You know, how many times have I said a grizzly bear goes from 0 to 50 in 3 seconds? And why is that? Because of the power of their hind legs alone. Yep. That's what propels them. That's what makes them go so fast. You know, I can't imagine that. I mean, a Squatch being that big. Jay, how big was the one that you saw? Not the female, but the male?
Oh, they tell you, Stacy swears that the one she saw, the big 10-footer. Yeah, his solos are at least 5.5 feet wide.
I mean, my God, guys, come on. And something like that, the infrasounds that's going to come from it. And, but here we are with the Ozark Howler that howls out there and screams. They've got different people out there saying that it sounds differently, you know, but I'm going to go along with the wolf hybrid type of bull bugle type sound.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to several dozen of them out there over the past couple of years when I've been researching just that one. I mean, damn, that's got to send chills through you if you're out there.
Absolutely.
And then it goes silent after it, you know, does its three, and then bam, it's got you.
Got you.
You know, you bring up
something good.
You bring up a good point, Nick. Man. You know, we're only hearing reports that people survived.
That's right.
What about all these where people just went crazy, went missing?
Well, you know better than Jay or I. If you throw a body, any kind of body, animal, human, into a pig pen, will there be anything left of it?
True story. 1961, my great uncle, had a heart attack in the hog pen. He had 26 sows in the hog pen. My aunt, true story. I'll get her. She'll come and tell the story. She's 71 years old. Huh?
They saved burial costs.
I couldn't understand what
they saved the burial cost.
Yeah. The only thing they found was one finger.
Oh,
in a matter of 3 hours.
You're not going to put that in a casket. No.
And folks, that's a true story. I mean, story after story after story. What I am more afraid of hogs in the woods. I don't carry a gun in the woods for Bigfoot.
No.
I carry a gun in the woods for hogs.
Yeah.
I'm more afraid. All you got to do is just type in. Most of them are those big Russian black boars over in the Caucasus Mountains. Just type in hog attack. Or type in hog hunting and see what a hog can do to a dog.
I mean, you showed pictures.
Sure.
I mean, look at Hogzilla and look at those other. I mean, those hogs were huge. I'm going to tell you something. A couple of years back when we went to Arkansas about the dog man problem that they had out there at the country club. When we were out and we were going to take like a lunch break, we set perimeter alarms. We had bear flares out there. You know, the bear. I don't know if you're used to bear flares. They'll do a boom plus a flash.
Yeah, almost like a minor flashbang.
Yeah. Except we set the strings out.
Yeah.
Plus we do a double layer, 2 feet back, a little bit, a couple inches up higher. We'll set the string, and we'll do the perimeter alarms, the 146 decibel ones. You can't miss
we
those.
call them string poppers, is what we've always called them.
I mean, they're just little plastic things. You know, I got to bring them down here and set
them off. They're almost like the little throw poppers that kids use for firecrackers.
Yeah, but these things go on for the longest time. Until you put back the pin. They're inexpensive. People should actually get these because they're great to have around your camp. I like to double layer it myself, because if they miss one, they're going to hit the other. I mean, what are the odds,
Yeah.
Because I've read so many stories. I've interviewed people. This one couple that was camping, and he didn't grab her, whatever. The Sasquatch grabbed the boyfriend and started pulling him out of the tent, and she's the one that got up, and she's the one that blew the shotgun right through the fence. I mean, right through the tent. And she don't know if she hit it or not, but it let her boyfriend go.
I mean, I tell you, multiple times I've had in eastern Oklahoma be laying in my tent and you can hear the hogs. I mean, they make distinct sounds, but I've had them come push in, and most of the time you just slap them on the nose and they go running. True story. I can pull him in on a show and he'll tell you, I had it happen. He's fixing to pull his name's Bill, and he's fixing to pull a pistol. And I said, just wait a minute. And we was using a TP style tent.
Yeah.
And this thing was rooting around the outside of the tent and pushed in on the tent. And I just smacked him. And I heard this god awful gargling and crap. We jumped up and jumped out I'm one of the few people that I can actually brag about it because he'll verify my story. But we jumped up and ran out, and I hit it with a spotlight. And all I seen was that back end of a black bear heading down the hill, But people don't understand there is legitimate concerns for your health out there. And that's where
there is. We
need to get that known. It just drives me nuts when people, I'm going to go Bigfoot. And I'm like, what are you taking? I'm taking my phone and a bottle of water.
It's so true. How many times have I been told that? I got this one guy up in Canada a couple of years back. He used to talk to me all the time, and then suddenly no more. And it wasn't because I offended him. He loved chatting back and forth. I just didn't hear from him anymore. You know, and he used to go in with his phone, with the flashlight on his phone, and a bottle of water and a Snickers bar. And that was it. And he would go through these old buildings that are abandoned. I mean, he had a plethora of buildings where he went because he loved to explore these places. Old military installations, insane asylums. I mean, I don't know. The guys, I haven't heard from him in about 2 years.
He might be one of them statistics that David Politis writes about, you know.
Yep. Except from Canada.
Hey. Well, back on the hog thing, I'll tell you from personal experience, I've got a 6-inch scar, Jeremiah's seen it, on the back of my calf from one puncture wound from a tusk the size of my pinky.
Oh, and the problem, you were lucky.
Well, what happened is the infection. But if he would have gouged even deeper, luckily I had 2 dogs on him. You know, one dog broke loose when I was stabbing him, and when we hog hunt, we take a hog out with a knife. The dogs pull them down. We either come up and catch them and tie them up, or we'll take them out with a knife. And one of my dogs had went to get a better bite right as I stabbed the pig, so he spun and gouged me.
Oh,
but my whole point at that is you've got 2. This is another thing. You've got 2. This was a 175-pound hog, and I had 2 75-pound pit bulls on each ear, one on each ear, and my 300 pounds sitting on top of the hog. And I've literally myself have shot at hogs with a 30-30 and bounced it off their skulls. And you know, Nick, me and you got into that, and I want to test it. You know, I've sprayed hogs with pepper spray, and they just look at me. You know, I want to try that better bear spray. And that's my goal this spring and this summer is I bought me some and I want to get out. I've got a friend that raises wild hogs, or not raises them, but he catches them, keeps them. And we're going to try it. And I'm going to do it on video just to show folks that these things are
I know they have that cutoff thing in there, but they still have to breathe through the nose, and they still have to see through the eyes.
Yeah.
So if you hit it with a spray that's powerful enough, it should stop that thing.
Yeah. If it's on a full charge, I'm wondering. You know, something.
You know, I wanted to ask you, Gary. I mean, in ranger training, I don't know. I know when I went, I had to go through this waterborne operations. Did you guys have to go through waterborne operations? Did they teach you what to do with the shark? Because it's funny, you're talking about the hog. They taught us to pound it in the nose, the shark. If the shark comes in,
that or gouge the eyes.
And it works. It actually works.
Well, and a lot of that too, I've never done it because I don't like sharks. I don't like the ocean, but I've got a good friend. Matter of fact, she's a very popular biologist named Ocean Ramsey. Great, beautiful woman, naturalist, dives with great whites. And these sharks will come in at her full force, and she'll just stick her hand underneath their nose and just lift up. And they'll just, big old shark, and they'll just turn. And I'm like, nah, not happening. I ain't even getting in the water. You're talking about you being the most terrified I've ever been in my life. Folks, I've hunted Alaska. I seen great humpback whales. When I say great, it's the most spiritual experience of my life. Right off the coast of the Massachusetts coast, went out 4 miles and seen humpback whales. Most spiritual experience. I'd recommend it for anybody. But the scaredest I've ever been, floating in Alaska, and an orca come up underneath me.
Oh, no. Underneath you? Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the side of the boat, and it's not a real big boat. It's like a 30-footer, but this orca comes up like this, and I swear to God, he looks at me like this, looks again, tilts back, and comes up out of the water and eyeballing me. And my first thought is them orcas with the seal on the stinking ice pack coming up and then knocking them out. Them things terrify me for the simple fact the intelligence level.
Were you in a boat or in the water?
Either way.
No, were you in a boat?
I was in the boat. I was in the boat, but I don't care. I ain't getting in the water with it. Ain't no way. All I got to tell people is watch the show Blackfish. That'll take
Blackfish?
Yes. It's a documentary about the original Shamu.
You know, when those things come up, they don't know that there's not a boat could be there.
Yeah.
And they have hit boats.
Yes.
And sunk them. And then they're in. And they're like, well, you just got in my way. You shouldn't be there.
Well, I've even seen people, they're crazy, go up there and kayaking in Alaska, and them things come up next to folks. I'm sorry, when a seal jumps into the back of your boat to get away from the killer whales, you don't need to be there.
Nope.
No, because that killer whale goes, okay, I'm coming there too.
Yeah. It's like these guys that grabs an 8-foot snake and puts it around their neck. Hey, look at me! I got a boa constrictor around my neck.
No.
It ain't happening. But I'm sure people would probably say that with me hunting hogs, But it's just, I don't understand the mentality, and we're going to get into that. I'm hoping in this season. I really would like to push safety, legitimate research, research theories and techniques, and safety. People. It's not that expensive. Go get a GPS collar. You literally can buy them for a dog for $50, and they send your beacon and throw it on your belt. You don't have to have one of them fancy Garmin's. Go get a GPS dog collar.
But you got to tell somebody, and they have to have the app, and you got to tell them, I'm going to be back by 9 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, send them out for me.
Yeah. Now, here's the problem, though. When as search and rescue, I'm going to have to move this on a different desk. I'm shaking my camera. Being search and rescue like me and Scout are, if I'm ever searching for you and you got one of them dog collars on, because I've had it happen with coonhounds, and that thing's hanging from a limb in a tree, and that had to been snapped around the limb, that's when it gets freaky.
Yeah.
But we found out that was a guy stole the guy's dog. But if we're out ever searching and that thing's hanging in the tree limb, I'm going to go the other direction. But
I still like my Garmin Mini.
Yes.
Garmin Mini 2. That's what we went to. We sold the other ones, and they gave us Garmin Mini 2s, because if something's wrong, you press that little orange button and
it sends out the beacon.
Immediately it goes out.
Yeah.
And you're not going to beat that Iridium satellite system.
No.
I mean, it hits and it means they know you mean business, because they don't go off that often.
With that system, when you send that, it pings every satellite, no matter who controls it, even Starlink. I'm actually looking at the wristwatch version. They've got a wristwatch version now that monitors your heart rate, and if that heart rate drops, it automatically sends the.
Oh wow!
Well, I don't want them to. I want to be out there, and if my heart rate drops, because it is low beating anyway, I'd rather be able to press it and say, I need help.
True.
For real. But you're right. That it's a hell of a system. It's expensive, I gotta admit, but it's only this big.
The Garmin Mini is not too bad. The Garmin Mini is what, $265, I think it is.
Well, the Mini has gone down. The Garmin Mini 2.
Yeah, the new version.
Second version came out. It's stronger, actually. The signal is even stronger than the other one, which is unbelievable. It's super tough. You can actually send preset text messages.
Yes.
You go into it and you pre-program messages like, get the hell over here fast.
Well, you can even with the Garmin Mini, you can ping certain locations also if you use the app with your phone. But here's what I tell people. Yeah, it's $200, $250. How expensive is your safety in your life?
That's right.
These things don't pick up everywhere, folks.
Right. I mean, say you nick an artery and the people there are skilled enough to get it under control. Okay. You've got to get to a hospital. If a poisonous snake bites you,
absolutely,
you better damn well hope you're not alone, that the people there will put you on a carrier, keep that limb.
Even at that.
Yeah, keep that even at that, but you have to get the freaking antivenom.
True story, was doing search and rescue in McAllister, Oklahoma, south of McAllister. And a guy got snake bit. We found him 1/4 of a mile from his house. Oh. But he got snake bit and he tried walking home. And he was hyper allergic to venom.
You're pumping venom for yourself. You
gotta
stay still.
Another true story on the backside of Broken Bow Lake, in between DeQueen, Arkansas, and Hoochattown, Oklahoma, on the backside of my main research area. 2 miles in, the gal went out by herself, bigfooting, with a bottle of water in her cell phone. Got down in a valley, twisted her ankle, broke her ankle, laid there for 3 days. Luckily, she had somebody willing to she had told that she'd be back by a certain time, and they got suspicious and they called us in, and we found her after 3 days, but she laid there.
Wow.
There ain't no way she's coming out of that terrain. And all she did was trip on a rock. Don't go alone. Take equipment with you and tell people when you're going out and when you're going to be back. It's that simple.
And well, people, I mean, we were having so much fun on this one. We went 12 minutes overtime. But we will be back next week. Absolutely. And the Mongolian death worm. We're gonna hit you with different types of stuff. Jay's got a whole bunch, I know. Gary, you mentioned a few, so we'll see you next week. But we can go on and on. We're having too much fun now. So, but just remember, people, you might see the Ozark Howler out there in Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, or Missouri, or you might see something else. It might find you. Be prepared, be aware, and I'll just say good night, people.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone. And like Nick and Gary said, we will be back next week with the Mongolian death worm. So,
can't wait.
Again,
I can't wait for that one.
Me neither. I'm pumped. So everyone be good to each other. God bless. Everyone have a good evening. Good night, guys.
Good night now.